This is the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast with live recordings from IrishFest Atlanta and beyond and stories from Heatherdale. This is show number 738.
I actually studied not environmental science, not the geography and the chemistry of it all, but actually social environmental problems. Like, what do you do when there are two different groups that are trying to, each do the thing that they think is right, but something's going to suffer, the environment's going to suffer. How do you unpick those problems, and how do you try to find compromise and guide people to compromise? And I think one of the things that they taught me is that, stepping into someone's perspective is a hugely, hugely powerful thing. Telling people that you hear them and you see them, even if you don't agree with their politics or their values, you can always step outside of the anger and say, you know what, I can hear what you're saying. And I see the passion behind it. I know that you're really passionate about this because for you, this is a right and proper thing. So a lot of times I think we get defensive because of a tone of voice, because of the words being used, because of the imbalance of power. Some people come at it from a very, threatening way. But if you can cultivate the inner peace to be able to step out of it and say, all right, talk to me a little bit about why you think that is what it is, and just listen. And, I've put that into place everywhere in my life over the course of time. I've put it into my life as a musician. One of the things that I do most at a concert is I love meeting people before, during the intermission, afterwards, and I just listen. I listen to their stories, and people can talk about whatever they want as we chit chat. And I have gotten so much inspiration for new songs, new things that inspire me in life. And I think it's being able to just check yourself at the door and say, all right, I'm going to listen. I might learn something. And I think if people can incorporate that as a habit in their lives, a lot more progress can be made in, trying to make sure the world is, fair to everybody.
Welcome to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, helping you celebrate Celtic culture through music. I am Mark Gunn. I am a Celtic musician and also host of Pub Songs and Stories. Every song has a story. Every episode is a toast to Celtic and folk songwriters. Discover the stories behind the songs from the heart of the Celtic pub scene. However, this podcast is for fans of all kinds of Celtic music. We are here to build a diverse Celtic community and help the incredible artists who so generously share their music with you. If you hear music you love, please email the artists, let them know you heard them on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. But even better, support their music. Buy their CDs, album pens, shirts, digital downloads. You can find a link to all the artists in the show notes, along with show times, when you visit our website at CelticMusicPodcast.com. Email follow at bestcelticmusic.net to learn how to subscribe to the podcast and get a free music-only episode. So I have an interesting show for you today as we wait for the results of the Celtic Top 20 and finish our annual Celtic Christmas episode. First, I reached out to Celtic musicians on the show and asked them to email audio recordings of live performances that they have done. I had only a couple responses. I wasn't able to get the word out quite as well as I wanted, but the first artist, in fact, that you heard today was one such band. The Sundials are out of Birmingham, Alabama. That was start of the County Down. But I also recorded a bunch of performances at IrishFest Atlanta this year, and I got permission to use many of those recordings for this special episode. These are live, raw recordings that I made in the audience, so you're going to hear people chatting. You'll hear weird sounds throughout, but we did our best to get some of the best recordings and try to clean up a little bit as we were able to. Now, if you have a live recording you made, send it to me because I would love to do this again next year. I'm going to start collecting live recordings. So send in those live recordings and maybe we can include you next year. Finally, I did an interview with Heather Dale a couple years back, and I think my voice got cut out of the recording. So all I had was her stories. And then, of course, I lost them. So I finally got back to putting those recordings onto a podcast, and that's what you're going to hear today. It's going to be mixed in here and there, along with some of her music, so stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to start off with those recordings from IrishFest Atlanta. We have Celtic Brew with Dominic's Farewell to Cashel and Contentment is Wealth from the live recording I made there.
by low, low, lowland, singing hush by low, lowland. It's a mom with her baby. Bring no ill wind to hinder us, my precious babe and me. Red spirit of black water's bank, Clonow's wild banshee, and Holy Mary pitying, and heaven for grace doth sue, singing hush by low, low, lowland, singing hush by low, beautiful, Deborah. Take time to thrive, my rose of home, in the castle of Dromore. Take heed, young eaglet, till your wings are feathered fit to soar. A little time, and then our land is full of things to do. Singing hush by low, low, lowland, singing hush by low, low, singing hush by low, lowland, singing hush by low, low. Castle of Dromore.
After Celtic Brew came Olivia Bradley with My Match It Is Made. After Olivia Bradley came Kira Doppel and Sarah Ling with Broken Pledge Set. And we finished up the set with Cashel Dromore by Kathleen O'Donohoe. I want your feedback. In fact, Heather Dale has a great little story that I wanted to share.
When I started as a musician in the early to mid 1990s, it was a whole different world. I mean, there was no internet. Nobody, if you found out about a show, it was because a friend told you or you read it in a newspaper. And, the way musicians got enough to pay the grocery bill at the end of the month was by selling CDs, cassettes, whatever you had. Of course, that's changed radically. It started to change, of course, in the 2000s when the internet started to be just a universal library where everybody could find everything all at once. And in 2010 or 2012, I guess, when the smartphone came into the world and took it by storm, now the way people consume music is so different because you don't have to have a physical thing in order to have music. You can just log in and have music delivered to you by random algorithms. So the question is, as a musician, is what's your job these days? It used to be pretty simple. We were kind of traveling salesmen and entertainers. And now, how do you entertain an algorithm? How do you reach people who are, not talking to each other? They're just finding out about music and all of that kind of thing. It's not organic. It's not community building. And I think the idea of community building is incredibly powerful for independent musicians. We don't have the budget to flood the nameless multiverse with ideas, like, hey, you really need to check out this fabulous new album. We don't have that budget, but there is still a hunger in the audiences for connection. Particularly now, even after, we sort of had it thrown in our faces by not having that connection through the pandemic. This idea that having a friend recommend music to you is a huge, exciting thing. Now you've got a connection to your friend. Not only have you discovered music that you wouldn't have necessarily heard about before, but now you have a way and a reason to talk to your friend more. And those secondary reasons, I think, are something that musicians should always, always keep in mind, is that we have the ability to build community. People who think they're the only person who loves screamo death metal in Iowa, if you can introduce them at your concert to, even 10 other people who love screamo death metal in Iowa, you have done a wonderful thing in the world, and those people will thank you. And that's, we have to do it sort of one by one now. You can put out adverts, and that's, and you can play with the algorithms of what Spotify delivers to people, and that's hugely powerful. But don't underestimate the opportunity to talk to your fans directly and to get your fans talking to each other. During the pandemic, when my partner Ben Deschamps and I none of us could be touring, Ben had actually been developing an online concert platform that we call onlineconcertthing.com. It's a bit of a flippant name, but it's actually pretty memorable. So onlineconcertthing.com was meant to just be able to sell tickets to an online concert, help the artist put the online concert out so that, the ticketed buyer is going to have a listen and be there. And he also built in, fairly prophetically, I think, a chat function where people would just chit chat by typing comments. And you know what? The chat function has been by far the most popular aspect of this. People can watch a YouTube video, and it's a personal, private experience. People can, sit in an audience of people they don't know and go the whole concert, in person without ever actually having, personal contact or saying a word to anybody. But boy, if you give people an opportunity to chat with each other and talk about the weather and say, oh, I love that story, I wish the artist would tell us more about that, it suddenly brings community into your concerts. In a lot of ways, music is about us because we're expressing ourselves and our thoughts and our dreams. But in a lot of ways, as soon as you decide to become an outward-facing artist, whether or not you do it professionally, but once you're performing for audiences, you're serving them. You're giving them an excuse to come together and find other like-minded people. So never give up an opportunity to make a community amongst your fans and to invite more people into that community.
Again, that was part of an interview that I did with Heather Dale a while back. And suffice it to say, I want your feedback for the new year. If you have questions or comments, if you have your own story to share, I'd love to hear it and share it with listeners. Feel free to send an audio file if you like. You can do that at follow@bestcelticmusic.net. All right, next up, we have May Will Bloom. That's my band with my daughter, Nara, and this is Gypsy Rover from our live recording at IrishFest.
A gypsy rover came over the hills, down to the valley so shady. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, 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 and he won the heart of a lady. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-dee-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-dee-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, 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 and he won the heart of a lady. She left her father's castle gate. She left her own fine lover. She left her servants and she left her estate to follow her gypsy rover. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-dee-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-dee-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, 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 and he won the heart of a lady. Her father saddled up his fastest steed and roamed the valleys all over. He saw his daughter at great speed and a whistling gypsy rover. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-dee-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, 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 and he won the heart of a lady.
His name is Willie Brennan, and in Ireland he did well, 'cause on the Kilwick Mountains he commenced his wild career. Many wealthy noblemen before him shook with fear, and it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, and Brennan on the wall. One day upon the highway as Willie come down, he met the mayor of Cashel, a mile outside of town. The mayor knew his features. He says to him, says he, your name is Willie Brennan, you must come along with me, and it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, you Brennan on the wall. Now Willie's wife had gone to town, provisions gone to buy. When she saw her Willie, she commenced to weep and cry. Said, hand to me the 10-penny. Before Willie spoke, she handed him a blunderbuss from underneath a cloak. And it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, it's Brennan on the wall. Now with this loaded blunderbuss, the truth I will unfold. He made the mayor to tremble, and he robbed them of his gold. 100 pounds was offered for his apprehension there. So with his horse and saddle, to the mountain did repair. Young Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, Brennan on the wall. Now Willie being an outlaw upon the mountain high, with cavalry and infantry to capture him to try. He laughed at them with scorn, until at last was dead by a cruel-hearted woman who was coldly betrayed. And it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, Brennan on the wall. They hung Willie at the crossroads, in chains they hung and died. Some they say that in the night, still they see him ride. They see him with the blunderbuss, all in the midnight chill, all along the King's Highway. Right Willie Brennan still, and it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, you're Brennan on the wall, and it's Brennan on the wall. Brennan on the wall, oh brave and undaunted, you're Brennan on the wall. Thank you.
We start to shiver, start to shake. The wicked thoughts will keep you awake. You can fight, you can run, but eventually the crash always comes. We start to shiver, start to shake. The wicked thoughts will keep you awake. You can fight, you can run, but eventually the crash always comes. I've been drunk for 7 days, I'm trying to run away. I just can't comprehend how my life ended up this way. It started with what will keep you awake. And you can fight, you can run, but eventually the crash always comes. When the shiver starts to shake, lonely thoughts will keep you awake. You can fight, you can run, but eventually the crash always comes. But eventually the crash always comes. But eventually the crash always comes. Cheers, thank you.
After May Will Bloom was Irish Brothers with Brennan on the Moor. Then came the Muckers with The Crash. Thank you so much, patrons of the podcast. Because of your kind and generous support, this show comes out nearly every single week. Your support doesn't just fund the show, it fuels a movement. It helps us share the magic of Celtic music with thousands of new listeners and grow a global community of Celtic music lovers. Your contributions pay for everything behind the scenes: audio engineering, studying graphics, weekly issues of the Celtic Music magazine, show promotion, and most importantly, buying the music we feature from indie Celtic artists. And if you're not yet a patron, you're missing out. Patrons get early access to episodes, music-only editions, free MP3 downloads, exclusive songs and interviews by artists, and a vote in the Celtic Top 20. Join us today and help keep the music alive, vibrant, and independent. Special thanks to our Celtic legends, Sean Calley, Mike Schock, Kelly Garrett, John Sharkey White II, Linda McNeil, Gary R. Hook, Nancy Barnett, Miranda Nelson, Gerald F. Boyle, Jeff A., Dan McDade, Emma Bartholomew, Margaretta Silverstone, Alan Schindler, Marty Myers, Brian McReynolds, Daniel Ide, Bruce, Rick Boyce, and Dave and Rosie Donnelly. Here's your 3-step plan to support the podcast. Number 1, go to our Patreon page. Number 2, decide how much you want to pledge each and every month. $4, $12, $25, $100, $500, $10,000, whatever whatever works for you. Number 3, keep listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast to celebrate Celtic culture through music. You can become a generous patron of the podcast on Patreon at songhinge.com. All right, now I have some stories to share with you from Heather Dale, starting off with one about heroes of our time.
Well, heroes of our time I think it's a very powerful statement. The idea is that heroes don't just belong in the past, in our stories and our fiction, but, heroism can be seen in people's everyday decisions, whether they choose to stand up for somebody who isn't getting a fair shake, whether they choose to stand up against a law or a bylaw that is harming someone, and they stand up and say, okay, they're not harming me, but I can see that it's not fair. I need to stand up and be a voice for these people. Somebody who sacrifices something in order to make sure their kids have something. I mean, all of these are self-sacrifice. They're defending the helpless. They're showing honesty in the face of difficulty and personal courage. And we are used to looking for that in stories with knights in armor and, space bandits. And I mean, honestly, we go to fiction for this all the time. Television shows, movies. We love the hero story. But if you look for what fundamentally makes a hero, someone who has personal courage and is willing to stand up in the face of personal danger, that is happening now. It's happening in the 21st century. And you need to look at it, look for it, and you need to look at it with a slightly different lens. Okay, yeah, it's a day-to-day, you show up at your job and you do what you do. But I love finding those moments in someone's life that they don't even recognize. But I can write a song about it and say, hey, you know what? The way you handled that was really cool. That was heroic. That was something that I would love to be able to tell people about. And that's where it comes into my music. I take those moments and I write a new fiction based on a hero for our time, a hero of the 21st century, and I pass it out. And people are very, very surprised sometimes to see themselves in my songs and realize that, other people are watching. And as one of my lyrics says, you never know who's watching or how far the story goes. So an example of the heroes of our time, or heroes for our time, is a really neat story that ended up becoming my song, One of Us. There were lots of examples of people, getting too nervous to go and be part of something that they didn't feel like they were welcome in. For example, somebody who's not athletic deciding that they're going to go and just try a sport. It's nerve-wracking to not be the best and not know your own skill going into something. And one of the best examples of that was a young woman named Bernadette. Now, I've been a medieval reenactor for, most of my adult life. And medieval reenactors love to take history and create the actual physical culture that went with it. We make the clothes, we wear the clothes, see what they were like. We try the food, we make the recipes. And a lot of people, particularly in the Society for Creative Anachronism, where I usually work, they love to try the combat. What was it like to be a knight or a squire, somebody who was actually training with a sword, with a shield? How hard was it? How difficult was it to stand up and, be willing to enter into a martial arts contest where you're actually going to get hit? So in the SCA, we do it all safely. We use wooden replica swords, but it is a martial art. People are dressing up in armor and going in and seeing who's going to win a particular bout. Bernadette was this bright-eyed, she must have been about 19, bright-eyed, curly-haired young woman. And at the time, most of the fighters were practicing, and they were big guys, like you sort of expect. Like it's a demanding sport. And so these big guys were in there bashing away and whacking. And boy, did it ever, I stood at the sidelines and I just thought, oh, well, that's never going to be for me. Bernadette was totally unfazed. She went in there, she made friends. The guys were really great. They were excited to have a new person to train. And she made her own armor and she got her sword and she had a helmet and the whole thing. As I watched her, I could suddenly imagine myself in that place. That powerful decision on her own behalf suddenly made, a big difference in how I saw myself. I saw myself as being able to be part of that culture, that endeavor. So early on in my years in the SCA, I was still a young woman, just in university. Bernadette and a couple of other Scadians had been traveling out in the United States. As I had mentioned earlier, I'm from Canada, so we would have to drive long distances to go meet other reenactors. And they were driving home, and they had a terrible car accident. And Bernadette and one of the other fellows passed away. They didn't survive the accident. And the other fellow who died was a very popular fellow in our local group. He was, 10 foot tall and bulletproof. He was a big fighter and sort of a blonde Viking. And everybody admired him. And so everybody started to pour out their grief and write songs to memorialize, these fallen comrades. And most people were writing stories about the king, not about Bernadette. And I looked at it and I thought, well, that, he was inspiring. But I had been more inspired by Bernie. So I looked at what she had done that made her a hero in my eyes. And it wasn't that she was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. It was that she was like me. And she had stood up and gotten into her own strength and was just an amazing person. And you could always tell she was smiling and grinning every time she was out there doing combat. So I wrote this song, One of Us, that just tells that story. And the number of times over the intervening couple of decades that people have gotten in touch with me to say, I'm sure you wrote that about my friend Sarah or, the local lady Rhiannon, because so many people had had that experience where they had found an unexpected hero like I had found Bernadette. And so One of Us has really grown wings, and it means something different to everybody. But it's always going to be a story for me memorializing and celebrating Bernadette's memory and all of the other people who have come and done similar things and inspired others.
Got to me, I looked to find examples on the field of chivalry. I saw mighty arms, much stronger than my arms could ever be. So I thought perhaps that field was not for me. But still I stayed and watched the fighting till one figure stood apart, in armor newly fashioned and a helm more pot than art. But each blow was thrown with honor and the lightness of the heart. So I took that step which soon became a start. 'Cause she was not the biggest fighter, nor one to raise a fuss, but I remember being proud that she was one of us, and we might never stand together in a shield wall side by side. Because of her I lift my sword with pride. Now she was ladylike and lively, not the type you would expect, with a braver heart than many and a slot shot to respect. And I guess she'd once decided this was where she'd like to be. And I thought if she could do it, why not me? 'Cause she was not the biggest fighter, nor one to raise a fuss, but I remember being proud that she was one of us, and we might never stand together in a shield wall side by side. Because of her I lift my sword with pride. Here and there, I think about examples, how you act and what you dare, because you never know who's watching or how far that story goes. Where'er that lady is, I hope she knows. 'Cause she was not the biggest fighter, nor one to raise a fuss, but I remember being proud that she was one of us, and we might never stand together in a shield wall side by side. Because of her I lift my sword with pride. Because of her I lift my sword with pride.
So my latest studio album is called Sphere. And the last song that Ben and I wrote, my partner Ben Deschamps co-wrote all the songs with me. The last one is called Leaf. It's a very simple song, but the message is actually it's a surprisingly difficult thing to internalize. And that is that sometimes we just aren't in control. And you have to become okay with that as an adult. As we're kids, I mean, gosh, everything that doesn't go our way, anything that seems unfair, we rail at it. We yell, we have tantrums, we burst into tears. And, that's part of growing up and it's part of being a kid. But eventually, hopefully you learn that when things don't go your way, sometimes A, it's for a reason. Maybe your way was a terrible idea. Or B, you just have to accept that you can't control everything in the world. And so the best thing you can do for your own mental health is to accept it and just roll with it and see where you go down the road. So Ben had written a beautiful short poem about how the leaf was floating on the stream. And I really liked that imagery. And it actually ties back to a lot of Eastern religion, the Taoist philosophy of you can stand in a river and the water will push at you every day. It'll just push and push and push. And you can stay put, but there's always stress. There's always difficulty because the river is never going to stay put. And you can push your way in a certain direction, but it's always going to be hard. And the Taoist philosophy is to say, try to tune yourself into the river and then just float. Stop standing, let the river carry you, let the river of life move you to places that might be more interesting, which is, again, a very powerful philosophy, and it's one that I have in my life. So the idea of the leaf floating on the river, I expanded it a little bit, and I brought it back to the idea of where we come from, the mountain. The leaf floats on the stream runs over pebbles from the mountain. and the leaf floats on the stream. Worry takes a pebble and takes it from the mountain. It lends a mountain's shadow and it lends a mountain's weight, which is the idea that in this river, of course, there's rocks, there's all sorts of difficulty. And it comes from this mountain of worry, of all the things that, are solid and difficult in life. And then I go on to say, I sail on the leaf, younger than the mayfly, older than the mountain, and lighter every morning. And Ben had come up with this beautiful image of younger than the mayfly is, we are not, the world is so vast and the time frames of the world are so vast that we really are just a little eye blink in the vision of the earth. And so this idea that, we have to take on all of the troubles, all of the difficulties, all of the mountains of the world. Sometimes it's okay to just lie back and be the leaf. The leaf hasn't existed for very long. It, doesn't have a lot of power in and of itself, but it has worth. A leaf has a function in the world, and it's a beautiful thing just on its own. And the idea of being able to embrace that insignificance, in a beautiful way is to say, okay, I'm not responsible for everything and everyone. I can just lie back and watch the world as the heavy river carries me along. And so that's what we ended up doing. And we worked really hard on the music, hilariously, because it really does sound very effortless and quiet and peaceful. But we worked really hard for there to be layers. We always try to put layers into our music so that, you can sort of get a hint of the pebbles roiling underneath, all the things you could be worried about. And you can think back to where the stream starts, this mountain, the mountain of the world that you're never going to be able to climb on your own, but it's there and it anchors everything. And then this river that just carries you along if you choose to let it.
The leaf floats on the stream runs over pebbles from the mountain. The leaf floats on the stream. The leaf floats on the stream. Worry takes a pebble, takes it from the river, lends a mountain's shadow, lends a mountain's weight. The leaf floats on the stream runs over pebbles from the mountain. The leaf floats on the stream. The leaf floats on the stream. I sail on the leaf, younger than the mayfly, older than the mountain,
That, of course, was Heather Dale with One of Us from her album Imagineer and Leaf from her album Sphere. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to this episode. If you did, again, send in your own live recordings. Next year, I want to do another one. I'm going to start making a collection of these right now. So send them to follow@bestcelticmusic.net, and we will put that together. Next week, I have a Celtic Christmas episode. The week after that is the best Celtic music of 2025. I am so excited to share with you this great episode. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going to finish up with Fialla. They had a live recording called Not a Doctor. Some wise advice. Don't listen to this advice because they are not doctors, and it could be bad, or it could be a lot of fun. Here's Fialla. Thanks so much for listening. Sláinte.
There are many songs about whiskey in the Irish repertoire. They talk about how good it tastes, what happens when you drink it, and what you don't remember in the morning. But what I noticed is that there was a major part of the whiskey spectrum that was being omitted from tradition. And that is all the medicinal uses of whiskey. So what I've done in consort with medical professionals is I've compiled all the medicinal uses of whiskey into a song. And if you memorize it, it may prove very useful to you in somewhat bizarre circumstances. Injuries, infirmities, and ailments we endure. But the solution is a solution, chemistry joke, both remarkable and pure. Well, sure, I'm not a doctor, but of one thing I am sure. If whiskey cannot cure it, then it doesn't have a cure. That's right. Woo! Give it for Jake, everybody! Now, this tale begins my junior year at university. I nearly had my new and shiny medical degree. I'd studied all the medicines and all their chemistry, till something drew me to the world of homeopathy. You see, there's just so many compounds, like ketones and aldehydes, and for each a billion brand names, how can anyone decide? But I've stumbled on a treatment for afflictions worldwide. It's a fancy form of ethanol, and one you may have tried. Hey, injuries, infirmities, and ailments we endure, but the solution's a solution, both remarkable and pure. Well, sure, I'm not a doctor, but of one thing I am sure. If you know it, sing it. If whiskey cannot cure it, then it doesn't have a cure. Some call it the essentialist oil. Coming to a doTERRA in your neighborhood bar. Sorry, I wasn't ready. Well, it's great for teething babies who are struggling to doze. If your sinuses are stuffy, it can quickly clear your nose. For folks like me with ADD, it keeps us on our toes, and it can kill the norovirus, even after you're exposed. Now, there are daily situations this elixir can address. It's been known to be successful in alleviating stress. Even augment your ability to study for a test. Now, there are other things it augments too, but those you'll have to guess. Yes, there's no sugar, fat, or carbs within this healing liquid gold. In fact, it even helps you keep your body fat controlled. Diabetes, strokes, cholesterol, and dementia in the old are just a few more items whiskey may address. Or so I'm told. It's anesthetic, antiseptic if you've neither in supply. If you're poisoned, it's an antidote injected in your thigh. So you've got conjunctivitis, you could pour it in your eye. And if you're feeling really bad, you could just drink it till you die. Hey, injuries, infirmities, and ailments we endure, but the solution's a solution, both remarkable and pure. Well, sure, I'm not a doctor, but of one thing I am sure. Sing along with us. If whiskey cannot cure it, then it doesn't have a cure. And there's no side effects. None whatsoever.
All right, let's close it out.
Every story has an ending. Can I get a D7?
Ooh, that's
Nope.
all right.
Nope.
All right, should have paid for one more piano lesson there, huh? Here we go. I got it this time. Here we go. D7.
Ah! We can't put that on
We
the
can't
album.
do that. Yeah, we can't do that. Cut that out. But we can't do this one. Yes.
Copyrighted.
Here we go. Let's finish off.
So I opened up a private practice in my extra time and gave out dozens of prescriptions for my panacea prime. But the government came after me and charged me quite a dime for to prescribe without a license is apparently a crime. Well, I still don't have my license, but I'm sure one day I will. And everyone will come for treatment here whenever they are ill. I'll give that whiskey by the bottle till they each one have their fill, but it will all be free of charge. We'll make insurance pay the bill. Injuries and remedies and ailments we endure, but the solution's a solution, both remarkable and pure. Well, sure, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think I am sure. If whiskey cannot cure it, then it does. Injuries and remedies and ailments we endure, but the solution's a solution, both remarkable and pure. Well, sure, I'm not a doctor, but one thing I am sure. If whiskey cannot cure it, then it doesn't have a cure. Thank you for talking about that.
Support for this program comes from Cascadia Cross-Border Law Group, creating transparent borders for more than 25 years, serving Alaska and the world. Find out more at CascadiaLawAlaska.com. Support for this program comes from Hank Woodward. Support for this program comes from Dr. Annie Lorkowski of Centennial Animal Hospital in Corona, California. Support for this program comes from international speaker Joseph Dumond, teaching the ancient roots of the Gaelic people. Learn more about their origins at CitedMoon.com. The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast is produced by Mark and the Celtfather and our patrons on Patreon. The show is edited by Mitchell Peterson with graphics by Miranda Nelson Designs. Visit our website to follow the show. You'll find a link to all the artists played in this episode. Todd Wiley is the editor of the Celtic Music magazine. Subscribe to get 34 Celtic MP3s for free, plus you'll get 7 weekly news items about what's happening with Celtic music and culture online. Best of all, you will connect with your Celtic heritage. Please tell one friend about this podcast. Word of mouth is the absolute best way to support any creative endeavor. Finally, remember, clean energy isn't just good for the planet, it's good for your wallet. Solar and wind are now the cheapest power sources in history, but too many politicians would rather protect billionaires than help working families save on their bills. Real change starts when we stop allowing the ultra-rich to write our energy policy and run our governments. Let's choose affordable, renewable power. Clean energy means lower costs, more freedom, and a planet that can actually breathe. Promote Celtic culture through music at CelticMusicPodcast.com.